everyone, and welcome back to another Storytime video. And today, with this being the weekend of the Fall Creek Falls family reunion, I'm going to discuss whether I like the old Fall Creek Falls or the new Fall Creek Falls better. Now, last year, I just was in shock because I didn't know how the park was going to be. I guess I automatically assumed that they were going to restore it back to the way it was, but make it feel and look more modern than the 70s, which is the way that it had been for decades and decades. But now that a year has gone by since my initial shock, and I am able to take a step back and properly evaluate it. I mean, I think I mentioned in my Day 3 vlog last year that with time, I thought that I might not be as critical, and yes, to a certain extent, yes. Now, I'm still critical of the new design, but I just have, I guess, more constructive criticisms now. Counting, well, out of the times that I was there, with the old, I was there 3 times when I vlogged the reunion, and I was there 10 to 15 times that I can remember and say that I vividly remember it. Well, that I remember it, period. And the thing is that while, yes, I was a little bit too hard on the new design, it is not horrible. It has some advantages to the old design, but the thing is that they took away the pool. Well, there still is a pool, and I mean, yeah, that's one thing that I prefer with the new design versus the old, is that the pool is at least more accessible now, to where certain rooms you walk out of the room and 5 feet from you, if that, is the fence to the pool, and then another 10 feet is the water. Now, that could work against you in terms of it being maybe a little bit noisier than you prefer, but for accessibility, I say yes, plus. And in terms of the lobby area, well, in terms of getting from the lobby to the first floor and possibly even the second floor, I would say yes, positive. in terms of this new versus the old. But in terms of actual feel and the way that it looks, I would say it's a wash. Now, conference rooms. Conference rooms. There is a minimum catering fee that you have to pay in order to get the conference room. My grandmother was in charge of the reunion last year, and I will say that it is like, I think it was like $1,200 last year, and I think it's going to be $2,000 this year. It's at least $1,200. I think it's gone up to $2,000. My relatives say, or it might still be at the $1,200, and that $2,000 might be something that I'm thinking about. Well, maybe it might be $2,000 for all the rooms for all of us, and $1,200 for the catering fee. I don't know, but it's at least $1,200. And there wasn't that before. Now, accessibility from the rooms. Better. And I'm thinking about all this in terms of the old side and not the new side, in terms of the old design and layout. Because there was the old side that we always stayed at. We only stayed on the new side for a couple of years when I was a kid. So young, in fact, that my mom told me one time that we lost a nightlight that I really liked. Well, we didn't lose it, but we accidentally left it there one year. I was that young. And, so, in terms of the old side and the only side now, yeah, I'd say it's maybe a tiny bit quicker to get to the conference rooms now. And they're, I think, about the same size. Maybe these conference rooms are a tiny bit smaller. But that's okay, because we're all able to fit in there as of right now. Unpack that statement in, like, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years, and see if that statement still applies. Regardless, So, I don't remember there being a playground anymore with the new design. Now, I might have completely forgotten about it in the past year, because a lot has happened to me in the past year. So I might have forgotten about it. But I don't think there was. And by the way, there are fewer rooms now. The new side that added, I think, 3 floors of rooms, I think using that same 30, so about 60 to 90 rooms are just gone. And yeah, there might be a few more rooms in the space that the old side was. but not 60 to 90. There's 60 to 90 rooms did not get added. I'll tell you that. So there's a net loss whenever families are getting bigger. Which I made that comment to my grandmother. I'm like, hey, there's a net loss, or there are fewer rooms here when families are getting bigger. And not just our family, too. Just every family in general. Because, newsflash, folks, the population is not decreasing. It is always increasing. Pretty much always increasing. And, there's less parking now. Because when you had, the old side, there was a good place to park, and there was a well-defined place. Well, now there's not as good a place defined to park, and it just... And plus, my grandmother is a shining example of this. But some people like to have what she calls parties out on the first floor to the back door of the room, where there was basically the concrete and then concrete slabbed all at the back there so that you could walk from one side of the rooms to the other and not have to walk on any grass. But now there's only the concrete slabbed to the end of the room, toward the back. So there are fewer opportunities for what she calls parties. I would call them get-togethers. But when there's a lot of people there, at least for my grandmother, myself, and my sister, that we don't get to see every day, or hardly ever, except for when it is time for the reunion. Yeah, it kind of sucks when you don't get to converse with those people in that sense. Now, that might be taken as a little bit of a nitpick, because, of course, you can always hang out with them other places. And yes, sure, you can. But I'm just trying to draw direct comparisons to old and new here. And I just prefer the old style Fall Creek Falls. Now, I'm not going to, throughout my vlogs this year, just straight up compare old FCS to new, or not FCS, but I'm always thinking about football. FCF versus new FCF, because it's just, I don't want to spend a whole weekend going, that used to be that, and that used to be that. Again, that's just kind of dumb to do that beyond just the 1 year. Because in year one, it's kind of cool to go, oh, well, that used to be that, and that used to be that. But I promise you, I will not bore you with that this year. And I will just promise to have fun. Now, the jokes about them massacring my boy? Yeah, earlier that month on my flight to Germany, I had watched The Godfather. So that was fresh on my mind, relatively speaking. But yeah, overall I prefer the old, but part of the reason why I'm not going to keep bringing up the old like I just mentioned, is because old Fall Creek Falls is not gonna come back. We just have new FCF, and the thing is that I could choose to not go if it bothered me that much. And so I am not going to complain about it. I'm just gonna have a fun time and see a whole bunch of relatives that I only get to see once a year. And see us, guys! I do believe that that will do it for this storytime video. And till next storytime video, I will see you later. Goodbye, guys! Thank you all for watching.